Hey there. Thanks for hanging out with K-Dubs and listening to the podcast. Much appreciated. Check us out on YouTube. Shoot us an email. Let us know how we're doing. Hanging out with kdubs@gmail.com. And as always, enjoy the next episode. Val, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
This is
Thanks
exciting.
for having me.
Absolutely. I've been, I don't know jack shit about the vegetable farming business.
We're still learning.
Well, you have to. Farming is one of those things where if you're not learning every year, are you really doing what you need to do?
Correct.
So, your business is Cody's Farm Market down...
Cody's Farm and Orchard.
Farm and Orchard. Sorry. I knew it was one of the two, and I swung and missed.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Down in Marengo.
Yep.
Okay. So, we're just going to start... because we're in March now. Mm-hmm. Why not? What does your business consist of starting today? Like, you get your greenhouse going on?
So the greenhouse will start probably close to the end of March. So right now it's just still in the planning stages, making sure we've got all our seed purchased, figuring out what chemicals we need, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, good. So it's exciting then. This is the boring part, right? Like... yeah, you got to sit down, you got to figure it all out, you got to go through it all, but it's boring.
Kind of, it's a lot of paperwork.
It's tedious. So once you get into the greenhouse part of it,
mm-hmm.
then that's when you get your planting. That's when you start planting.
Yep.
What do you guys start planting then at the end of March, early April? In
tomatoes first. First thing we plant. We have somebody else start our peppers for us. They start those now, and then we start melons and zucchini, cucumbers, all those to be transplanted out in the field whenever the frost is hopefully done.
Nice. So let me figure out how to word this. Do you keep them in your greenhouse for like 3 weeks at a time, a month?
Depends on the crop. When they have enough height to them, then we take them out, put them on a wagon.
So each individual, whether it's strawberries or peppers or whatever.
We don't start strawberries. We buy those as starts. So it's like a root stock we plant.
Gotcha.
But the tomatoes, once they get enough size on them and that they can go out of the greenhouse, we put them out like on a flat rack, as long as it's not going to frost or anything, because they got to get hardened and used to the weather before we can transplant them.
Wow. There's just so much to keep up on. I just don't understand how all you guys do that. But, okay, so fast forward. You get them out of the greenhouse. Mm-hmm. You get them out in the fields.
Yep.
How does that look like then? What do you guys have to do to prep said plants?
So depending what we're planting, some things we transplant with a transplanter directly into the soil. Mm-hmm. Other things we make raised beds that we put plastic on, has irrigation drip line in it. And then we transplant into that plastic. So the plastic does a couple things. It keeps the soil warmer, keeps the weeds away.
So you plant directly into plastic then. So
yeah,
you lay.
So it's a raised bed that we have a bed shaper, and it lays the plastic and makes the bed.
So is it like 6 inches taller than the regular ground? 8 inches. I'm just guessing here. I mean,
I don't know.
I've seen it on your Facebook, your guys' Facebook before that. It's raised up.
It's
set
raised
amount,
up.
set amount, and
Yes.
then you put your plastic over the top of that.
Yeah,
then you direct seed into that.
Nope. So then we're putting our transplants. So like our tomato plants, if we're planting into plastic, we've got a transplanter that like punches the hole. It adds a little water and fertilizer to the hole, and then we manually push the plant in. We ride on the transplanter, and then tuck the soil around it and keep going for hundreds and hundreds of plants.
Oh man! So it's pretty labor intensive.
Very.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So is it just you and Cody that does that, or do you?
No, we have help.
Yeah,
we definitely have help.
I was hoping that you guys weren't sun up to sundown.
No,
and then
I mean it's
dead of midnight.
It's still like when it gets to the window when we can plant, especially if you got like a rainy period or whatever, and everything needs to go in the ground at once.
Absolutely.
Then it kind of is sun up to sundown because we're trying to get everything planted every day.
Because you have to.
Yep.
I mean, that's part of the business that you guys are
Yep.
in is just making sure that you have that product for the consumers when they come, whether it's to your farm or we'll get to the your outposts later on.
Yeah.
So when looking at all that, obviously you have different chemicals, different herbicides, different things like that you can use to keep these things alive.
Yep.
Are you organic in anything?
We are not. We're not organic. We are sustainable. So if there's a pest problem, anything like that, or weed pressure, we deal with it as it comes up.
I mean, I figured that, but I wanted to ask just because maybe one of these plants or something is really easy to maintain. You're like, we'll just let that grow and to hell with it. Whatever happens, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case with most of the things.
So I'm assuming a lot of that takes time up to a certain date before you start picking them, correct?
Correct, yeah. So, hopefully, if the weather cooperates, we're doing a lot of transplants in May. Most things we're not going, the earliest stuff that we start to harvest would be probably like cucumbers, zucchini. And the earliest we have those is sometime at maybe late June, but usually early July.
Yeah, it's usually around July 4th, I think,
So,
when some of that stuff's ready to go. What do you guys do then in between all that time? I mean, obviously you're prepping plants and you're spraying and you're putting fertilizer down.
Yep.
You guys also grain farm a little bit as well, don't you?
A little bit, yep. So in the mix to that, we're planting
corn and
beans.
soybeans. And
we do custom hire that planted, so we just have to make sure that we have the ground prepped and ready
to rock and roll.
But we use that as a rotation, so then some of our vegetable ground, if it's not in vegetables, then we put beans in there for a year, then bring it back to a vegetable crop. And then we're also every 10 days planting sweet corn through mid-July. So
when do you start that then?
As soon as we can. As soon as the ground temperature is warm enough, usually sometime in April.
Yeah, that's usually a hot ticket item.
Yeah.
Especially for you guys, I know, and all your outposts and stuff like that. But your that sweet corn is always a big thing around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not just you guys, it's everybody that has sweet corn.
Well, and initially that was like our main thing. That's what everybody knew us for, was our sweet corn. But we've added a lot of other stuff since with our strawberries and
because you got
apples.
Because you got pick your own strawberries, and you guys will pick strawberries too, correct?
Yeah. So what we do strawberries in June. Usually, it's always guaranteed by Father's Day, but we'll do pick your own for that for usually 3 or 4 weeks if the weather cooperates. If it doesn't, sometimes it's less. But we have people that go out and pick every morning, fill our cooler, and then customers can come and pick too. So
that seems like a really good method to the madness. Well, like on your guys' end, I mean, you can only pick so many strawberries in a day.
Correct.
And you can only do what you can do. And this way it's, hey, if you don't want to wait for us to go pick it, here's a basket. Go get your own. And you can pick and choose which ones you like or don't like.
Correct.
This way, if you get home and there's any of them that are crap, it's your fault.
That is true. Very true. And a lot of people, it's like a family, experience for them. It's
because you got
the kids do, and
because you guys got a lot more than just land and selling vegetables. You guys do so much there on that farm.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me some of the other activities that you guys have?
So
for like a family activity, once you guys get opened up in the summertime.
Yeah, so once we're open in the summer, it's just mainly farm market sales, so our sweet corn, our vegetables. Then once we get into the fall, September and October are kind of insane. We have apple picking from the second week of September usually through Halloween. And then all of October, we do pumpkin picking. And then we have agritourism activities.
I forgot all about friggin' pumpkins. Halloween.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We've got a 5-acre corn maze. We've got activities for kids. We got a big corn pit. So there's all kinds of stuff that families come out and do a weekend.
And you also sell other things other than vegetables, too. I mean, just name some other things you sell, too.
Like in our store?
Yes, that's what I'm...
Yes. So in our store, we've also got Wisconsin cheese. We've got pork. We've got all our vegetables. We have some...
Don't forget about the candles.
I was getting there.
May or may not have bought some of them.
Yes, we've got candles. We've got dried flowers. jam,
tons of other stuff.
salsa, shirts. We got it all now.
How big? How many apple trees do you guys have now? Give or take 7, 8, 10.
Shoot.
Any idea?
Thousands.
5,000.
I think 5,000.
Holy cow! What do them take to keep? Are they really high maintenance?
Yeah.
Like just because working with some of the other orchards around here before you guys got established, I know that they can be very, very high maintenance trees.
Yes, the trees have to be pruned every year. Like right now, that's going on, pruning trees. And then
Now, is that something you guys do?
we do, and we have help with that as well.
Yeah, 5,000 trees takes a while.
Yeah.
Is there a special process?
There is. I'm not real good at it. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of let Cody deal with that.
Yeah, get it, Cody. So it is a very tedious process.
It
then
is.
To do
So like initially when we're planting the tree, it just looks like a stick we're putting in the ground. And so it's about 3 years really before it's established and producing a crop.
That's
that
still
we can
pretty quick
harvest.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty quick. We're using a dwarf or semi-dwarf, I think is what it's called, tree in a high density planting. So they're planted really close together and they
Stay short.
They stay shorter and then they can only grow to the tree next to them. So then we're not having as many issues with they're putting more emphasis into their fruit production versus growing
Outwards and upwards.
or upwards. Yeah.
I feel like they've been working on that technology for field corn and, and sweet corns as well for quite some time now. They just can't figure all that out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you still got to have with apple trees, you still got to have a solid trunk to be able to support all them apples and them leaves and branches.
Yep.
With sweet corn and field corn, it's the same thing. They're still trying to figure out how to keep that stalk strength.
Yeah.
But instead of having corn 10, 12, 15 feet tall, how to shrink that down to 7 feet tall or 6 feet tall and put all the nutrients into the ear so where you get your yield. They'll come up with it. It'll be here at some point. I just thought when you brought that up about the apple trees, about the dwarves, I was like, man, I'm sure someone has looked into what the difference is between an apple tree and a corn stalk, but that's still pretty interesting to think about on the genome side or whatever you want to call it, because that could be a money maker there.
For sure.
All of a sudden you start getting corn plants that are 4 feet shorter and putting more nutrients into that. What do you think is going to happen? Them yields are going to jump big time. They will. I mean,
for sure.
All 5,000 of your apple trees are producing, or they're working on that?
Working on it. The last 2 plantings, the last 2 years, we have not harvested off of yet.
Okay. So starting probably next year, then the latter of the 2 will probably start producing some.
Maybe this fall we'll get some on the crop from, let's see, that was the ones we planted in 2021. We might get a few this year, and then next year it should be really good production.
Jeez. There's so much to keep up on. How do you guys do it?
I don't have a good answer for that because we do our best.
That's what you got to do, I think. How many? I mean, obviously, you and Cody are the owner operators of the place. Any other full-time help?
Well, and then also his parents, we're partners with them.
Okay.
So, and then everything else is seasonal hired.
So it's the 4 of you that are doing the blunt of it, the majority of it.
Yes and no. I mean, during the heart of the season, off-season wise, yes.
Yeah. But once you get into the strawberry picking and the pumpkin picking and the apple trees and all that kind of stuff, moving towards the summertime.
Yep. Then we'll have anywhere from 5 employees to 12. And when we get to the fall, we even bump up a little higher than that just because we have so many people at the farm. So then we might even have 15.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you got to have somebody that's picking all these products, and then you got to have somebody that's in the store at all times, and then your remote locations. So let's jump into that a little bit. You have how many remote locations off of the farm?
So we have 2 now. We used to have 4 locations total. But we have one in Woodstock, one in Crystal Lake. And we have cut those back. We used to do 7 days a week at all locations, and that was just too much.
I'm sure.
We couldn't do that. So,
well, that's hard to keep up. I mean, literally you're going to have at least one person all day just supplying probably those stands.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Kind of. I mean, it's, a matter of a truck leaves the farm in the morning, takes everything to the stand. Whoever's working there meets us there. We set it all up. Hopefully, we guessed right on what we needed.
Damn, the zucchinis wasn't the right pick today.
Kind of take a note if we ran out of something. If we run out of or get low on sweet corn, we will restock that. The other vegetables we usually don't. We just take note for the future.
But you can take a whole truckload at a time. That's quite a bit of vegetables in one trip.
It is. So we set up both of those stands. We'd cut Crystal Lake down to like a 3-day-a-week stand. And
Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. And
Woodstock to a 5-day-a-week stand. And we're still deciding what we're going to do this year. But
well, it's early yet.
Yeah, it's early.
It's early yet. Because when you guys probably don't put the stands out till...
Stands aren't until sweet corn's ready, so it's usually late July.
Yeah, I was going to say early August, so that was a pretty solid guess. And, I just lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say?
I don't know. What were you going to say?
Damn it. I just had it. It was right there in the noggin. Oh, man. I'll have to think of something else then. So 14, 15 employees during the busy time.
Like during the fall. When it's
during
crazy.
the busy time. I mean, when you have your stand set up and you guys are in that fall mode of a ton of people coming to your farm for families or get-togethers or whatever the case may be.
Like on the weekend, it's mainly, just lots of families.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a fun family activity because, like we've already mentioned, you got all that stuff that you guys can do there. And not to mention it's, hand-picked vegetables.
Yes.
Where it's not in a store. You don't know where a lot of that stuff comes from, where they come out to your farm and, hey, it came from that field over there, or it came from that field over there. What gives you guys the upper hand over going to a Walmart or going to Target to get their vegetables?
I mean, most of the time, everything we have has been picked either that day or within the last 3 or 4 days. So, I mean,
it's as fresh as you're going to get it. Yeah.
It's fresh. You're not going to get it much fresher.
Now, do you guys have like really big coolers there on the farm that you're able to stock all this stuff into?
Yeah, so we have 2 big coolers. We have one that's a display cooler. So, like, that's for the stuff on the farm, at least, it can remain refrigerated. And then our large cooler, we put like our pallets of corn in.
Okay, so explain to me, what is a large cooler? Like, are we talking like, 4 cases of beer large cooler, or are we talking like
we're talking like
20 by 20 large?
I don't know the actual measurement, but we can fit at least 8 pallets of corn in there, I think, or corn melons, whatever it be.
And I think a standard pallet's 48 by 48.
And the pallets we have are narrower, so they'll fit through the cooler door, but still there's walk space between them. So, I mean, if you're considering full size pallet, it's pretty good size.
Yeah. Is that something you guys built?
Yeah. It's been assembled for several years, but I don't remember what it got purchased out of. Yeah. I was going to say, it was purchased, used, and reassembled.
We got Cody off screen, so if we have any questions, he's the man we have to answer to.
Because that was assembled before we got married, so that specific
cooler.
That
has been a little while back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing is it's no different than like a shop or a shed, right? You build a shed. I remember my dad telling me, He built that shed on the farm. I think it was, don't quote me, it was either 96 or 98. I think it was 96. And it was 60 by 120. He's like, I'll never need another shed as long as I'm farming. Never going to need a bigger one. He ran out of room, I think, about 2004. 7 or 8 years later, he's like, man, this thing ain't big enough. Well, nothing's ever big enough.
Well, that's like when we get like everything coming in. So like we got our cantaloupes, and we usually they have to be picked. Like when they're ripe, they got to be picked. They need to get in.
So they're not like a pumpkin where they can just leave it there for a day or two and then come back.
No, when they're ready, they need to be picked and put in the cooler, or they'll go bad in the field because it's too warm. So we have those in there, sweet corn in there. Sometimes we're getting apples about that time, so the cooler's getting a little.
You guys got like big shelving and stuff in there too.
We have some shelving, but not probably enough. Like he said, you know, we could use another one, but.
Well, yeah, especially if you still got another, say, 1,000 apple trees that aren't producing yet that are going to start producing in the future.
And ideally, we leave some apples on the tree so that people can pick.
Yeah, so they can go out there and get picking.
We're picking kind of what the demand of the market requires, not all of them. So
that makes total sense too. So obviously cantaloupes are, once they're ripe, ready, like you just said, you got to get them.
Yep.
What other vegetables are that way?
Tomatoes would be like when they're ready, you got to get them picked. They don't have to be refrigerated, but you need to get them off the vine or they're going to go bad.
Any more pain in the ass ones like that?
Strawberries are kind of to that point. Like this last year, our strawberries that were ready, we had, I don't remember how many 90-degree days, and it pushed the ripening so fast that we couldn't even possibly pick them fast enough.
Oh, I'm sure not. And that's the crappy part, right? Because you're going to have waste then at that point. You just, there's not enough hands. There's not enough people coming in through the door. There's not enough people to go pick their own.
Yes.
You're going to have waste.
Yes, that's something we've always considered, that unfortunately a certain percentage of our crop is always wasted.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Well,
but it's reality.
It's reality because I learned a long time ago that when you have animals, if you have livestock, you're going to also have dead stock.
Absolutely.
It's just the way it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So when you are in the farming game, we'll call it, whether it's grain farming, dairy farming, vegetable farming, whatever, you're always going to have waste. The key, though, is try to eliminate that as much waste as possible. And there's obviously, you guys are figuring out some of those ways with go pick your own apples, go pick your own strawberries, because we can't pick them all quick enough. Here you go. Help us out. These are going to be awesome for you because they're literally ripe through the night or whatever the case may be. You're not going to get them any fresher. They're delicious. What other aspects of your business, of the farm and orchard part, that we haven't talked about that needs to be talked about?
Well, we do school tours.
So, like, you guys go to school and give tours, or you have schools come to you?
So all fall we have schools come to us. So on the weekdays when we're not doing like the whole festival thing, when like people are coming to pick apples, pumpkins, we bring kids in. And so usually
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very like, it makes for really quick days, which is good and bad because there's a lot to get done in a day.
I'm about to say, well, so much to get done in a day when they go quick. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. So it is another source of income for us, but it's also, a lot of these kids have no idea where their food comes from.
They don't.
And I mean, our reach has increased quite a bit. Like we had a school from Rockton come this last year.
Okay.
Which normally it's like Crystal Lake, Woodstock, Marengo, kind of that area. And they were like, well, there's nobody else that's doing tours anymore. And, you know, we put on a seed to table presentation. So we're showing them some videos of like how we started things in the greenhouse and how we transplant out in the field, how our picking is. We have one sort of automated picking, and that's our sweet corn. But we're still hand picking it and throwing it on a conveyor. So we show them how that works. They always think that's cool. So
it even though we're in a farming community, it's still incredible on how people have zero knowledge on farming.
Correct.
I mean, like when we sat down here, I said, I don't know jack shit about vegetable farming. Okay, do I know how it's done? I have an idea, but I don't know jack shit. Well, that's never been something that I've never gotten into.
Right.
So if I don't get into it, I'm concentrating on the things that I need to concentrate on, you know, and back at the farm, you know, we're concentrating on grain farming.
Yep.
Corn, soybeans, wheat.
Yep.
That's what we're concentrated on. We can't diversify into vegetables and all that stuff because it's too much money invested. And it's no different than you guys. Now I'm sure you're like, well, maybe we got to put a parlor up back, start milking cows and selling our own milk. Yeah. When, where, how?
Well, I mean, last year we milked goats all year. So my daughter she had 3 goats and we milked them all year. We just need to figure out a way to sell that.
Yeah, but 3 goats, that's okay.
Well,
we're not talking 300 goats.
No, but you really don't realize
goats.
how much time it takes to milk them and wash the bucket milker.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Then it's all of a sudden, a half hour in the morning and a half hour at night that you
could be doing something else for the business.
But,
yeah, I get it. You understand where I was going with that.
Oh, I do.
Mean, you need to concentrate on keeping the vegetable business in play and keep the farm and market part going.
Yes.
Instead of pushing off into, okay, now let's start milking our own cows and goats and selling that milk. There's just not enough time and energy for it.
I mean, we added chickens too, so we got fresh eggs.
How many chickens do you guys have now?
40.
Well, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah. Mainly it was for us initially, but they lay more than we need, clearly, with that many chickens. So,
well, if you're taking care of 40, you might as well take care of 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean...
No, Kyle. No.
No, the good thing is, we weren't sure what we were going to do with the eggs all winter, but we developed a clientele that pick them up. They come and self-serve, and worked well.
That works pretty slick then,
It did.
Are you guys still... hopefully cheaper than the $9 a dozen or whatever the hell they were here just a few weeks ago, huh?
We never increased our price. They are a little on the higher side.
Well, yeah, because they're farm fresh.
Yeah,
I mean,
$5.75.
Yeah, that's not. Hell, I still think they're more expensive than that at Walmart, aren't they?
It depends. I noticed that white eggs came down, but brown eggs were still over $5.
Yeah, I think I just seen them the other day at $6.99.
Really?
Somewhere I seen it. I don't know where, but it was somewhere. It was like
depending.
I'm like, holy shit! Come on. I like eggs, but I don't like them that much.
Well, and the profit margin on chickens is very small, even at $5.75.
Yeah, wow.
You're barely covering your feed costs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the problem, right? It's like everything to feed animals now is just through the freaking roof.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to keep all that and then be like, oh, yeah, we're going to sell eggs and we're going to take a loss on this because the feed's so expensive? I don't think so.
That's how we chose our price, so that we weren't losing money on them.
Yeah. Well, you can't. You're in a business. You start losing money and then all of a sudden you won't be in business very long.
No.
So you have to continue to maintain and keep money, which that's what makes America go around too, because we all can go to a restaurant or something and go, man, these prices are expensive. Well, yeah, but they're not here to make an absolute killing. They're here to make a little money, like in a restaurant, like I just brought up. They're trying to make X amount of dollars per plate. If they can make X amount of dollars per plate, they know they can stay in business because they got to pay their cooks, they got to pay their waitresses, they got to pay the electric bill, they got to pay all this stuff. They're not there to make millions and millions of dollars. Now, that being said, unless you go to a high-end restaurant, like a 5-star, but then again, they are using that type of meat. They are using the top-of-the-line meat. They're using local vegetables and things like that. It's just interesting to think about all that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something we go through every year, thinking okay, well, each year minimum wage goes up, different things. So you gotta think through all that with our pricing, and we don't want people to be like, why'd you raise your price so much? And, we try to explain, we have to. We have to try and make a living on this. This is our business. This is our livelihood. So that's something every year we have to take into account, the increased seed price, increased fertilizer, just like a crop farmer.
Okay, so...
But then we have a lot of labor.
Yeah. How did... I'm going to go back in the past just a little bit.
Yep.
How did COVID affect you guys?
COVID actually was okay. During that, it wasn't too bad because...
Well, there's a lot of places that completely shut down. Yeah. There's a lot of places that said, we're not going to do, 6 feet apart. You're going to, all this kind of stuff. I don't want to get into how you guys ran your business, but how did it affect your overall? I mean, did you see a 30% loss or a 10% increase, or
it was probably
even?
I mean, it was definitely a bit of an increase that year. we didn't do like all the activity stuff at the farm. So like we didn't have that income, but we did have a lot of people that came out and picked because they could go pick pumpkins. They could go pick apples. They could pick strawberries. We have, several acres. They didn't have to get by anybody else. And so it at least during our U-pick times, it was definitely better than some years because people were like dying for anything to do. Like there was no sports. There was, there was.
God, it's crazy that, you think back about how it was. It's like, man, talk about just listening to what everybody else says and not doing what you need or want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
But I mean, it's reality. During that time, there was nothing competing. So like on a weekend, normally,
there's no movie theaters open. There's no bowling alleys.
No movie theaters, bowling alley, no football games. Nothing really for people to do on their weekend. So they're like
outside of staying at home and
other than
doing
staying
the same
at home.
Old bullshit.
So, but okay, well, you can go out to an orchard and pick apples, and you're not going to be by people if you don't want to be. You're out in the open, fresh air. So at least that portion of COVID was good for us. We actually sold out of apples that year in 2020. I think, yeah.
Oh, that was moving into my next question. You're getting this podcast thing down, Val. So moving into that, because you said you sold out. Do you guys sell out of a specific product yearly, bi-yearly? I mean, I know it's hard to sit there and think about, okay, we're going to need 25 acres of sweet corn because we know we're going to start selling early July or whatever the case may be once the frost hits in the fall.
Yep.
Have you ever ran out of sweet corn?
We have ran out of sweet corn a couple times. We, usually it's because of a couple things. Weather, actually, mainly. So maybe
because you don't get it planted a certain week,
we didn't get it planted
a
certain week, or we planted it normal and we got an abnormally cold spell, or cool, I should say. It doesn't really get that cold in the summer.
Nah.
Or really hot and it pushes it, considerably. And then we've got two varieties ripe at the same time we weren't expecting. And then we get a window. So
gotcha.
So it has happened a couple times.
So you didn't necessarily run out of sweet corn.
Out.
You just didn't have any ready.
We didn't have any
sweet.
ready. Yep.
Gotcha. But like tomatoes and cucumbers and strawberries, you guys normally don't run out of stuff.
We never
right?
like pick out like completely, like there's not. So it's usually.
What the hell do we do? We ain't got a tomato on the farm.
Now
I was hoping to have a BLT today.
Now it gets to that. Shit. It gets to that point toward the end of the season when we either get a frost or we get a blight that comes in and destroys the crop. But so then we run out.
So how finicky are vegetables? I mean, obviously each vegetable is different. I get that, but when it comes to diseases, do some fight disease well and others are like, oh, hey, I got a little spot right here. It's going to kill me if you don't do anything about it.
It's a watching and catching early enough, because especially as you get those days where it gets, your foggy mornings, as you're getting closer to the fall, powdery mildew, big problem for all our vine crops.
Okay. I was going to say that's usually like a strawberry thing, right?
So that would be like our pumpkins. Let's see what else. Cantaloupe, watermelons, all those can get powdery mildew. And actually, there's probably which ones? Zucchini. Yeah, anything vine, anything on a vine, cucumbers. Because we had a lot of issues last year with. I think what did it get in? It got into the late cantaloupe. So
sounds like a pain in the ass.
It is. That's just because there's so many crops. Catching things at the right time.
So do you guys like crop scout every morning then?
We should. Do we? Probably not.
Try to anyway.
I mean, there's a lot of crops, so, ideally, yes. But
make a quick pass looking, oh, this stuff looks
good. Trying to see something or mainly watching the weather and knowing that, okay.
Or watching the product come in even, probably you can tell too.
Like with pumpkins, when it gets to that time, we hire an airplane. And they spray it. With
fungicide. With a fungicide?
Yep. Otherwise, if their vine dies too early, the pumpkin's not going to last in the fall. So we need to make sure those vines stay alive.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And then like apple trees are the same way?
Apple trees, I'm not real good with all the different things they need. My father-in-law, that's his expertise.
He takes care of that, huh?
of what we have to watch for in those. The one thing
I know that's good that you have somebody that's a specialty on those. Because I like I said, no one working with some of these other orchards around, they're like, yeah, they're pretty finicky. They don't do well with disease and they don't handle bugs very well, and you really got to keep an eye out on them.
Yeah,
so
there's a general every so many day program like pre-harvest. Once it's harvest time, we're done with any.
I'm
spraying.
sure you probably can't do much of anything at that point.
At that point, we gotta live with what we got.
Which is, if you're doing all that up to pre-harvest time, you should be set up fine. I would think that once harvest time comes around, they're healthy, they're producing.
Sometimes the weather can throw something in that messes them up, and
that's just the farming world, though.
So, like we had an issue with our Honeycrisp crop last year that was bitter pit, I think is what it was called, and they looked like fine, and then they deteriorate really quick.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well,
they get like these little spots, and it like would spread, and it was a
eat the whole thing up, huh?
Basically, I mean, you could peel the skin off and peel down. It still tasted okay, but it wasn't how they should taste. if it was a tree that had those on them.
Because those are like the apple around here, right?
Yeah, that and then there's a new variety which we have planted, which is called Evercrisp, which is later, but it's got the Honeycrisp gene, and I can't remember what the other one was. I don't know. It's a really popular apple at any rate. But those are like the
apples.
The top apples.
Do you guys have other apples or just those two?
We have 15 varieties.
Holy crap.
I think.
Okay, I'll give you 14 varieties. Holy crap.
Well, and then, people will call the farm and they'll be like, what varieties do you have in your orchard? And they'll be like,
hold on, let me get the list out.
Let me look at the list.
Which ones you looking for?
And, the reasoning we have multiple varieties is because they don't all ripen at the same time. So,
obviously some are going to be earlier maturity.
So we have early ones that start as early as August, and we've got some that get ripe the end of September. So
holy crap, that's a pretty
big window.
Yeah.
And so that we have, picking the whole season. Now, some varieties, they'll hold up on a tree really well. Like galas, most of the time we can pick almost the whole season. Other varieties, they need to get picked by
as soon as possible.
By a certain point, or they don't have the quality.
I think some sweet corn's that way too, isn't it?
Any sweet corn. You don't want it to go too long.
No, but what I'm saying is some of them seem to hold on longer.
On
a plant than because there's a billion type of varieties of sweet corn too. I know that.
I can't even tell you how many we plant right now. 5, 6. I don't know.
Baker's dozen.
Several different varieties, different maturity dates.
Well, you have to, in your guys' situation, you have to though.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that huge window.
Yep.
Because that's how you're doing it. I mean, that's literally your business.
And just like with every other crop, there's some varieties that are better in the early part of the season, and some varieties that are can deal with the rust in the fall type thing better. So Cody knows what's what.
Yeah. He knows which ones to plant, how to plant them. You guys said before that you have a rotation.
Yes.
So do you plant a lot of your sweet corn on top of sweet corn like from the year before, or is it literally every year you're trying to rotate your crop?
I'm thinking, I don't think we put any sweet corn on corn ever. Do we? No, I was saying, I don't think we ever do. So no matter what, so maybe it'd be vegetables the next year often.
So you literally are rotating.
Like full on rotating. Yep.
Full on rotating.
Yeah. So there's never sweet corn on sweet corn. Some things like pumpkins, that's a 3-year rotation. So we're not like back in the same pumpkin field until 3 years later. So we've got like 3 different sections, and we just keep.
Okay, so why is that for pumpkins? Just because of diseases and all that kind of stuff that comes in?
Yep.
Wow. That's just a lot. That's just a lot of logistics just for that for that reason. Between
Oh,
okay, we plant our strawberries here. We can't have them here because we're going to put them over here, but we had our field corn over here. Now we got to move it over to here, and we got our sweet corn. We're going to plant it here, and here. That's probably shit that'd take me a week just sitting down and have a big old map out.
It is. It's very like mind-boggling, and Cody does a good job figuring it out. Like, no, we can't plant there, or we got to do this there, or because you need the rotation mainly for disease.
And that's why I think a lot of the crop farmers do the same type of thing. When you rotate, I know your disease pressure really drops, especially like soybeans on soybeans or corn on corn. Corn on corn is more like a rootworm and that kind of thing can show up. Same thing with some of the rusts, and if it's corn on corn. So when you rotate that, theoretically you're eliminating or you're going to lower your chances tremendously. As far as the disease pressures and stuff like that go. So it is the same thing then when it comes to vegetable farming.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And tomatoes might be the same thing. There might be a more than 2-year rotation on tomatoes. Is it? 3, yeah. There's several things that are like a 3-year because we just don't want any chances of a crop failure.
There's one thing I've learned about farming is that if you make a mistake like that, it costs way too much money to make that same mistake again. So you make damn sure, like in your state, that's a 3-year rotation. It will at least a 3-year rotation. I don't care if it's a 4-year rotation, but it ain't going to be a 2. I can promise you that.
Oh, absolutely.
Plus, if you had something like that did happen for your strawberries or your tomatoes or whatever, that's devastating. Not only to your production, but your production equivalates to your income, and your income equivalates to your pocketbook, making sure you can do it again next year. So you don't want to do that.
Well, and that's one reason we have as many crops as we have. So
if something like that
one
happened,
of our crops fails, chances are they all won't. Hopefully, gotta hope and pray they won't, because then it'd be a real catastrophe. But last year we had a bad strawberry crop, but thankfully we had a good pumpkin and apple crop. So we just always gotta.
If you had to make a guess of percentage of waste on your guys' overall vegetable farm, and I'm talking apples and everything. I mean, are we talking, double digits, or are we talking 6% of loss overall? I mean, every year is different. Every year is different,
but I'm going to say at least 10%, maybe more. Depending, because there's so many different plantings.
Yeah. No.
Kind of thing.
Right.
And then one thing we do to try and avoid as much waste, if we don't sell everything, it goes to the food pantry.
Oh, that's great.
So like before it's completely, it might not be in a saleable condition because of the way it looks, but it's still a good quality.
Still edible
thing. The food pantry comes and they pick up, at least a van load a week once we're in the heart of our season.
Oh, they even come to you then.
Yep. They come to us.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's right there in Marengo that they do that?
We use the Boone County.
Oh, nice.
Is that what it's considered? Boone County Food Pantry. So they bring a Salvation Army. They bring a van, and he can usually guess how many boxes worth of stuff we have, and they bring the boxes and they load them all up and take them back and then distribute them out. However,
God, that's great. Well, that's better than it just rotting away.
Yeah, I mean,
at least there's some good that can come out of it.
There's definitely a portion that goes to the compost pile, definitely a portion that stays out in the field.
Absolutely.
And never gets harvested.
Absolutely.
But at least...
But that gets turned over, hopefully.
Yeah. Yes. So at least, some of it's still being used. It's not like it's getting thrown away.
No, I was going to bring that up a little bit later, but I'm glad we brought that up now, just because I was like, well, I mean, obviously you're not going to... You said before, you don't sell out of every product that you have. You rarely sell out, period. So what happens to all that stuff? I mean, you guys can only eat so many BLT sandwiches before you decide that, okay, I'm done with tomatoes and stuff for now. So the food pantry is a good, I don't know. I don't even know the word for that. A good place to move it, I guess.
Correct. Yes.
The product that you're not going to sell.
Yep. And then we also do like some bulk sale type things with like bruised tomatoes for people do their canning, so they get them at a cheaper price. So that's another way to move more product.
Oh, that's a product that, yeah, like you said,
It's not 100%, but it's cheaper.
You're not, throwing it in the garbage.
Correct.
So it's kind of a win there too.
And we do that with apples too. So we got bruised or blemished apples, or they got like a little scab on the outside, not pretty enough to sell. We sell them as seconds, or we sell them as for like applesauce.
See, that's the group I'd be in. Not pretty enough to sell. That's where I'd be right there. It's my kind of group. Oh, you're the discounted group. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Sure am.
Oh, gosh.
We got to take a quick break because I got to go to the bathroom. This podcast episode is sponsored by Dan's Diesel Performance. If you're looking to improve your truck's performance, efficiency, or appearance, check out Dan's Diesel Performance. They manufacture turbochargers, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, transmissions, intake piping, and much, much more. Plus, they offer all the top brands in the diesel industry. They're located in Machesney Park, Illinois. Visit their website at dansdieselperformance.com or give them a call at 815-977-5865. Kind of looks shitty in the picture with it open and seeing it. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting off track here. The one thing we did not talk about that Cody brought up during the break was donuts.
Yes.
You guys make your own donuts.
We do.
And I've had them. I didn't get thick like this by not eating good stuff, all right? It's the way it is. Do you guys still make that strawberry something another donut?
So we make a strawberry glazed donut.
Oh, man.
Mainly during strawberry season, but last year we found that we'd make them and then freeze them, and then people could buy them anytime. So we kept them in our freezer all most of the season.
Oh my
God. So every time we'd get low, we'd make some more.
So how many different types of donuts do you guys make?
So we tried.
That's the one I only care about, but that's just me. Because those are really good.
We tried to do 3 kinds. We tried to add blueberry, like when strawberry season was tapering off. We're like, all right, we'll bring in some Michigan blueberries. We'll sell blueberry donuts. They were good, but for whatever reason, people weren't rushing there for them. So,
unlike the strawberry ones.
Yeah.
And then obviously.
And then when we get to September, all October, every day, apple cider donuts.
And they're damn good too, but I'm telling you, the strawberry is where it's at. The strawberry glaze is great. So take me through that process. Mm-hmm. When do you first start making strawberry glazed donuts?
So when we open for strawberries in June, it's kind of like
within a week or 4 days or whatever.
Yeah, so like we're watching the strawberries, and then we pick, all right, this is the day we're going to open. And then we have to make sure it's 2 weeks before that. We send in a health permit because we have to have that approved before we start making donuts. So it's kind of a guessing.
Do you have to have all that for your vegetables too?
No. That's just for like our donuts. Yeah, our man-made stuff. So our donuts, we also have a food stand in the fall. So when we have that open, we have to have that food permit for that too.
Gotcha. So take me through this process of making donuts.
So,
because I want to know.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen videos and stuff like that, but I don't really know like what goes into it.
Yes. So we buy a mix. It's a pre-made mix. We put something in it. No.
Love. It's love she puts into it. That's why they're so good.
So the mix, both strawberry and apple cider, they are a mix. But in the apple cider donuts, we actually put cider. In the strawberry donuts, we put water, and
whatever product that is.
Yes,
it can be
a secret.
Yeah.
So then
it's a secret ingredient.
But
that means you have to try it.
So with donuts, they're very time sensitive, weight sensitive. So we weigh out the mix, we weigh out the water. It has to be mixed so long on one speed, so long on another speed. Then it goes into the hopper. We have a donut machine. It's called the donut robot. So we're not like hand dropping the donuts. It's dropping them, going across the conveyor of oil, dumping off, then
cooking,
frying, and then we're glazing the donuts if they're the strawberry donuts. Once they're we let them cool just a little bit, not too long, because we still want a little heat in them so the glaze melts nicely. Or if it's the apple cider donuts, we're shaking them in cinnamon and sugar, and that's each donut hand shaken in cinnamon and sugar.
Oh my God! Are you guys trying to figure out another way to?
There's probably
not do them?
Better way. Like, we could use a bigger container and, like, hand dunk them, but I like the way they look better when they're hand shaken.
I mean, couldn't you get, like, a big tray and put, like, 10 of them on there and then shake it like this?
You probably could. We're just trying not to make a huge mess.
You're already making a mess, though.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. Every day, like, when we have a big day, when we're making donuts all day long, by the time we clean up that building at the end of the night, it's a mess.
Oh, God. I mean, whenever you're working with equipment, it's always going to be a touch and go thing. I get it. Now, how's the donut taster? Do you guys have one of those?
An official one?
Because, I mean, saying, oh, God, it's got 2 thumbs.
So, here's how it works. Usually we start making donuts reasonably early in the morning. So the first people that come in, like, our sweet corn pickers, my father-in-law, Cody, whoever, they smell those donuts frying, and they come in and make sure they're all right.
They had to stop in there and,
stop in
what's
and
got going on in here?
Stop in and make sure they pass inspection for the day.
I that's the job I want right there. Donut inspector and taster.
Yes.
That's the job.
But if it's like me and I make donuts for many hours one day, I don't really have a desire to eat multiple donuts. One's good.
Yeah. You get that taste and you're like, ooh, that's good. But week 7 of making strawberry donuts, you're like, I don't even want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, trust me.
So many people have been like, oh, you make the donuts? So do you have a donut every day? I'm like, there's days I don't even touch a donut because you just smell it. And you smell like donuts. Your clothes smell like donuts. When we used to work together, I'd come into work and my hair smelled like donuts.
I don't remember that.
No, it did.
I remember you bringing donuts in.
Yeah.
That's why I liked them. They were good.
Maybe I used enough hairspray and nobody noticed. Maybe only I could smell it.
I think that's, do I want to say this? I'm going to say this. I think that's a woman thing, right? Because it's so funny because the girlfriend once in a while would be like, oh, can you smell that? No, I don't smell shit. She's like, well, I can smell it. And then whatever, walk away, or maybe it was me that smelled. I don't know, but it's just like, maybe y'all got real good nostrils.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's all in your head.
It could be. It could be.
I said I wanted that job, the donut taster. So, I mean, I'm not serious, but I'm kind of serious. Are you guys always looking for help?
Most of the time, yeah. Like during season.
Yeah. I'm talking from, let's just say, June 1st on.
Yeah. So once we open for the season, we have some people that come back every year, but a lot of them are like high schoolers. They go to college, and so we're always usually
So
hiring.
if somebody's interested in joining your team, whether they want to pick strawberries or be at one of the stands or whatever, how do they contact you guys?
So we usually will take requests through our website,
which is
www.codysfarm.com.
There you go.
Also, people email, or usually what we
and the email
is Cody's Farm Fresh Vegetables at yahoo.com.
See, this is all a lot. That's why I'm having to say this. So if you're interested, you can just rewind about 48 seconds and you can get all that information again.
Or if we're open for the season, we prefer that people just come in and fill out an application in person.
So you got applications right there.
Yep. We always have applications throughout the season. And if we don't have a job right at that moment and people are willing to apply and, wait till fall when we're crazy and we need lots of help, we always need help on weekends in the fall.
Okay. So we've got that established.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, what do you have besides Facebook for social media? Are you guys on Instagram?
Yep.
TikTok?
No TikTok.
So Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook,
Twitter.
mainly. We're on Twitter, but we don't really use it.
Maybe you should work on that a little bit.
I tried. I just can't get into Twitter.
I'm the same way.
Instagram's my favorite.
I like scrolling through Twitter, but just because it's simple and it's quick and
I just can't figure out how it works for the farm.
yeah, I don't know. It could be interesting, but what? So are you guys starting to make more videos? I mean, I've seen that lately. You've been fairly active on Facebook.
Yes.
So working on the. Excuse me, Pepsi made me burp a little bit. Working on the social media side then.
Yes. So I'm trying during the heart of the season, posting like almost daily something.
Sure.
And then we're trying to get more active in stories because that seems to be where a lot of people are watching right now on either Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah,
stories.
the 10-second reels on the top or whatever.
Yeah, the just real quick snippets of what's going on around the farm during the day. People seem to like that, so we try. Not great at it, but try.
You got to keep promoting your business.
Oh, yeah,
and you got to keep doing that. So anytime you can throw a video out there, whether it's a 10-second video, 2-minute video, whatever the case may be.
Oh, yeah.
I do think it'd be pretty cool if you guys could do like a time lapse.
Oh, yeah.
From when you start the seed in the greenhouse to the last effect of it being picked or being eaten or whatever, to have a cool time lapse, something like that on each one of your. Now I know this sounds like a lot, but on each one of your products, that would be really cool.
Now, like the someday when we get our YouTube channel that we'll probably never have time for.
Have you not started a YouTube channel yet?
No, we haven't.
You should probably look into that.
I know we'd like to, but time. There's only so much of it. We try and record and we try and make content.
Just leave it to Val. She'll handle it all, right?
Except the other day, I'll be like, "Hold on, I need to take a video."
And just who would have thought when we were going through high school we would have had cameras in our pocket? We could just bring it up.
Like, hold on a second, gotta get a video of this. Oh shoot, the light's in the wrong direction. I need to run to the other end of the field and you need to do it again.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Well, I know you guys probably got to get the hell out of here. It's getting pretty close to that time. So thanks for coming out. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys have to come back again sometime.
Yes, definitely.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.